Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Comic Watch. Thank you for dealing with our minor technical difficulties in the beginning of the show. I am Scott Shukin. I am here with my other host, Mr. Reed Strong.
My name is Reed Strong, and wow, it is only episode 3. We're young.
Yeah. We keep taking weeks off because this show kind of sprung up on us, and so we are still getting used to the schedule. I guess I'll say now that I'm going to be off next week because I'm going camping with my brother to see the Foo Fighters. It's going to be very exciting. We've had this planned for a very long time. But anyway, that will happen less and less as we go forward. This is going to be a real show. We promise. We're working at it. And it's not that we don't have our shit together. Erin, unfortunately, could not join us this week because she's being a good granddaughter. Her grandmother took a tumble, apparently, and so our hashtag thoughts and prayers are with her. And so because it's just us, we are going to have a lot of catch-up today on metal because we haven't been able to talk about metal, and we've been very, very excited about talking about metal. So there'll be that. We will talk about, of course, big Marvel Legacy nonsense that happened. Marvel Legacy. We'll talk about some other stuff too. I liked it too. It was just completely uninspired because Rebirth already happened.
Yeah, it was Rebirth.
It was just Rebirth.
But Rebirth was good.
Okay, why don't we start off with this then? Let's start off with Marvel Legacy.
So we're going to talk about the big reveal of Mr. Fantastic finding the comedian's pin?
Yes, when Mr. Fantastic found the comedian's pin at the end, it was crazy. What would Marvel's version of that be? Would it be like...
I think it would have to be... It would be Darth Vader. It'd be someone finding a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
Or the helmet.
That's interesting. I was thinking because they don't really have a famous imprint style thing. I was like, what, would it be Spider-Man meeting Kick-Ass? Is that what it would be?
It would have to be something iconic from Star Wars. Like the Guardians getting chased by the Millennium Falcon or something. If that was the last splash page of the Guardians being like, oh, there's another ship on our tail. Never seen something like it before, and it's the fucking Millennium Falcon. That would be a big thing. That would have broken the internet. Something in this book did not break the internet.
Yeah, I didn't see much on the internet that Marvel didn't leak themselves.
Yeah.
They leaked
a lot. They leaked the interview. Not even leaked. They just gave the interview for the big reveal on Monday before the book came out.
Yeah, that happened with Metal too. Number one, the Washington Post had their article about Dream showing up at the end. Yeah. So
and it happened about Mixius Pit way back in Action Comics.
Yeah, with Superman Reborn. So that's how we're doing it. It didn't happen with Oz. It didn't happen with Oz because that's boring as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about Action Comics today, and Detective Comics, which has already proven to be a more interesting Oz story.
And the most interesting Bat book in such a positively weird world.
Man, it is.
Bat book with Azrael and good guy Clayface. It's just so much fun. It's so good.
Yeah, man, that little interlude before the most recent issue, before Lonely Place of Living, about Clayface. Every Clayface issue just breaks my heart a little bit more. It's always so sad and heartfelt. He tries so hard.
He does, and it's going to go back like every reformed Bat villain does.
Yeah.
I'm thinking out of the main Bat villains, I guess kind of like A-listers and B-listers, a lot have had redemptions arc. They've tried to redeem Harvey. Every other story about him is him trying to be redeemed. They've redeemed Riddler. They haven't redeemed Scarecrow because Scarecrow is just a crazy man who shoots gas at people.
Also, redeem Scarecrow is probably the most boring idea I've ever heard of.
Yeah, he's a psychologist.
He's
a psychologist.
It's just
he uses spew gas for good.
What would that even mean?
We're not going to talk about Gotham, but Gotham is doing the Scarecrow right now, and it is television.
Yeah, we actually should figure out how much we do or don't want to talk about comic book television as the show goes forward. Because we do watch a lot of the shows.
Yeah. I think that would be fun to do maybe as a column or something, just in terms of you and me talk about something and then one of us writes it up. I'd be fun to transcribe that.
Or we could even maybe record a video series where we could do a weekly video review, but not necessarily live stream that, so that we have a little more leniency. And that way we allow a little more space for spoilers.
Yeah, because Flash is coming back soon, and that's going to be fun.
Flash is coming back soon. The Gifted starts on Monday. Got our legit X-Men TV show. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm very curious about that, especially after we've had Legion, which, not going to be like it at all, but Legion was just so good. And I can't really expect it to be Legion at all. But it's
I think Legion is like the best comic book show, so I don't expect anything to measure up. It's very, very good. But we're not talking about shows right now. We are talking about Marvel Legacy.
Yeah, this 50-page book for $5 is compared to 80 pages for $3 with Rebirth. But that's not the only comparison we're going to make to Rebirth.
Yeah, we'll be making a lot, so just strap in. If you're the kind of person who's going to be like, why do they keep bringing up Rebirth? The answer is because we can't help ourselves. We want to, but we can't. The
structure alone, I know I'm going right into it. The structure is very similar, too, in terms of just going back and forth, having, like, the big reveal, and then just having, like, these kind of minor stories, having the backstory going on with the Avengers BC.
Yeah, the voiceover with the character that is the big reveal at the end.
Right.
And then also the idea of, like, here's a little drop here, here's a little thing there, you know, like we saw Saturn Girl and stuff in Rebirth.
Yeah.
Things like that are just like, hey, that's going to be a thing, I guess. So let's talk about them. Let's break them down. I had a list. I'm going to bring up a list of the things, all of the things that happened.
Let's
talk first. And all the little things too. Let's talk first about the Avengers 1 million BC, which is a mouthful, by the way, to talk about. Can we just call them the Avengers BC?
Yeah, come on, let's just go with that.
That's good. That works for me. So the Avengers BC are...
So who do we got here, Scott?
We got Ghost Rider on a Mammoth. That's the first one I always remember because that's my favorite
the best one.
We got Odin, who has Thor's hammer, and Thor's hammer apparently is a fickle bitch that is like, yeah, I'm gonna work sometime. This is basically like that Charizard you got too soon in Pokemon. You don't have enough badges. Odin doesn't have enough badges to train Mjolnir, apparently.
Odin's trying to min-max.
That's weird to me. The idea that Odin doesn't have control. Like, didn't he make the hammer? And
no, because it was made from Hephaestus made it, right?
But Hephaestus is Greek.
Yeah, no, not Hephaestus. Someone who like their blacksmith. There's some blacksmith whose name I'm forgetting in Asgard. Like, I don't think Odin made the helmet. It made the hammer. Okay. We're not Thor people.
We are not Thor people.
Unfortunately,
you are going to find that out. Erin is our Thor expert, and we're missing you, Erin. Already. Look at us. Look at us without you. So yeah, Odinson, who is apparently hooking up with a woman who is just the Phoenix.
Yeah, who looks exactly like Jean Grey. Sexy cave woman Jean Grey.
We can guess where. We can know exactly where that tease leads because the resurrection of Jean Grey has already been announced.
Months in advance.
Months. Very, very long time. So, who else we got? We got Jean. Not Jean. We got Phoenix.
Yeah.
We got Odinson, who represents Thor. We got Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Ghost Rider.
There's an Iron Fist,
who didn't really do much. Black Panther, who didn't really do much, even though there is a really interesting Black Panther thing later in this book unrelated to that.
Which kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it definitely did.
We'll get to that. I'm excited. There's Starbrand.
Yeah, okay.
So is Starbrand a new character, or is this some old Silver Age thing they're yanking out?
Starbrand is from the MC2, not the MC2. Starbrand is from the New Universe.
Okay. When was the new... I can't keep it straight. The New Universe, the New Marvel Universe, you know?
The New Universe was the 80s. The New Universe was an attempt to do... If I'm correct, I believe it was superheroes are coming out for the first time right now.
Okay.
And the only two characters who anyone gave a fuck about who came out of that universe were Starbrand and Night Mask.
Okay, so there were no characters anybody gave a fuck about, is what I just heard you say.
Correct. Except for them, and even then people are like...
I guess Night Mask I've heard of. I've never heard of Starbrand before this issue.
I've heard of Starbrand because of Starbrand and Night Mask by Greg Weisman. That lasted for like 10... Yeah, it was one of the Marvel Now titles. Or one of the only ones.
Yeah, that book. I remember that now. I remember forgetting
that's the only reason I know they exist.
Yeah.
It was a college book that was... It was Greg Weisman. It was Greg Weisman doing a slice of life book. It was fun.
I remember reading a little bit of it and thinking, this would make a really good TV show.
Exactly.
I wish voice actors were reading these lines instead of me, because it doesn't always translate that well.
And speaking of Starbrand, sort of after we get the Avengers BC doing their thing, not really finding out much. One of the first things we see is Robbie Reyes driving along in his cool motor muscle car and gets attacked by Starbrand.
Yeah, and that's the first we see that in the present, all of the modern versions. The last one is Doctor Strange, who was just Agamotto, the Superior Sorcerer Supreme. So all of these versions, all the modern day versions of these heroes, are getting bad dreams of what the Avengers 1 million BC did. And Starbrand comes to Earth and he attacks Ghost Rider and was like, "We/you/I fucked up. Bad things are coming. Mistakes have been made."
So this is kind of a small thing, but this does kind of not ignore, but I guess override the fact that Robbie Reyes is not the spirit of vengeance. Like, he is not, the whole deal with him, kind of spoilers, is that he's not a spirit of vengeance. He's not related to the other Ghost Riders. The spirit that possessed him is just this dude who murdered his family. Like, it's an unrelated, he's not a Ghost Rider.
I didn't think about that. I guess that's a good point. He resembles the Ghost Rider, but he is not God's spirit of vengeance. He's not the Marvel Spectre.
Because that was the twist. That's why he doesn't have the motorcycle, because he's not a Ghost Rider.
Yeah. So I wonder what that's going to mean. It might mean that maybe he is more Ghost Rider-y. It might mean that they're like, in lieu of a Ghost Rider, we're just going with Robbie. Because
we have Johnny Blaze. He's around.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought he was gone. All right. Well,
he came back
that might be addressed, but it also might just be Event Comics doing their thing.
Yeah. Hey, no events for 13 months, Scott. No events.
Didn't they just announce a weekly? Okay. Yes. Is it a weekly like 52? Because I wouldn't necessarily call 52 an event.
Or is it's 52.
Okay. Well, in that case,
that's
kind of a pass. Because that's also how DC got away with not doing things for a long time. Is they did a bunch of weeklies.
Hell, even like 2 years ago, they did all those weeklies. They did Eternal, they did Eternal 2, they did Futures End, they did World's End.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, is that in the New 52, there was really only one event, Forever Evil. But there were 4 weeklies that you just listed.
Yeah.
I like me a good weekly. I'm a glutton for punishment.
Especially with some of the things that are going to tie into Legacy. And that isn't like there's going to be a character, Voyager, who, as we get to the end of this comic, we'll talk a little bit more about.
Yeah. So anyway, they're seeing visions of what the Avengers 1 million BC did, and what they did was they killed a Celestial.
Right.
Which is apparently a mistake and a big deal. And if descendants of people who killed Celestials are going to get haunted, how many Marvel heroes should be getting haunted? That's my first question.
The thing I'm curious about is I don't know much about the Celestial, so I'm curious are we supposed to know who this one is?
That's a really good question, and I also don't know the answer. Erin, we need Jess. She knows Marvel better than us.
Yeah. Or she specifically knows deep cut Marvel better than we does.
Yeah. I had. I'm sorry. This is horrible showmanship right here. I had a solid list of all the spoilers of Marvel Legacy, and I need to find them again because this was supposed to be a little more structured. But let's talk. We can use our memories. There are a few little just quick drops of little things. The Kingpin is running for mayor, and apparently he's doing well, which is
that'll be interesting.
Timely.
Mm-hmm. Very timely, very appropriate.
Yeah. Something's going on with Deadpool. He's atoning for his sins.
Well, yeah, because the big deal with Secret Empire was Deadpool killed Phil Coulson, and
was that in like Brave New World or something, or did I just forget that from the main book? Okay.
Because basically that's going into... So right now in Deadpool's book, what's happening is he's being blackmailed by Strife, who kidnapped his daughter to kill Cable. So he's kind of having to really work. It's kind of... The book's being called The Despicable Deadpool now. And it's kind of building up on a lot of the stuff of Jerry Dugan has been working with, that's just had a lot of bad things happen to Deadpool, and like reveal even more messed up things about his past. So now it's kind of like, oh, he has to be a villain again, but he's not going to be a villain because Deadpool makes them the most money. He makes them Harley Quinn money.
He does. He makes literally the Harley Quinn money for Marvel. So to me, that's really a way of being like, hey, don't forget to buy your Deadpool book.
Yeah, that was just saying, hey, this character's here. It's like, hey, Ted Kord and Dr. Fate were in Rebirth.
Go buy Blue Beetle. It will be a romp, which it was, by the way.
It was bonkers.
They just finished up. Giffen and Dematis finished their thing. Well, we should probably talk about that too. Yeah. At some point, because
we didn't talk about that.
3001 again.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah, and the Legion but anyway.
Yes.
What else happens in this book, Scott?
The main storyline of the book, if not the Avengers BC storyline, is a little romp with Thor, Ironheart, and Captain America, Sam Wilson, one last time in the Captain America costume, because saving the world and beating the bad guy as Captain America means you have to retire your costume, apparently.
Well, the reason he quit was because he tried nothing and he was all out of ideas. Like, Sam Wilson's whole thing with Captain America was basically like, look, he tried because he was like, I can't do it, I quit. It was like, basically, it was too hard. I hate to say it, but would have been a great Captain America, but the way it was written was pretty much just, I see this violence and I see this depression, I don't know what to do as Captain America.
Man, it's weird. It's happening now that, like, you'll realize just how these versions of the A-listers were sort of doomed to fail, right? Of course, Jane Foster's the obvious one, right? She's had cancer the whole time.
Yeah.
She was
for 3 years.
And Sam Wilson's thing is that he doesn't know how to be Captain America, and he never figures it out. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of a shame, just because obviously an Ironheart's there too. Like, hey, I'm the Iron Man right now, and obviously that's come on. And that leads us to another plot coming out of Legacy. Tony Stark is missing. His comatose body has been stolen. I'm sure it'll turn up. I'm not worried about it.
Tony Stark. There's AI Tony Stark right now, anyway.
Yeah, like, I was doing fine without the body. It felt exactly like we had Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Feeling like something that it was like exactly like we still had the character. Should we talk about the thing yet, or?
Well, let's talk about the main plot again.
Yeah.
Which is these three are stopping, or basically assisting S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is being shut down, which is another big thing, and makes sense after Secret Empire that there is no more faith in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no more S.H.I.E.L.D., and Loki hires some frost giants by lying to them to steal an item from S.H.I.E.L.D. labeled something 1939, which sort of implies some Golden Age thing, or so I thought. I don't really think it ended up being that way, but we'll see what happens with that. So he's like, we got to get this thing in the S.H.I.E.L.D. box. And then Thor, Ironheart, and Captain America show up, and they're like, nope, you're not going to do that. And so they do stop most of them, and they mention at one point that there was a beer truck following them. Just kind of offhand. Hey, there's been a beer truck following us. And they're like, it's huge, that's weird. Nobody check it out. Nobody investigate that. I'm sure it'll be fine.
And we're like, beer. No one likes beer. That doesn't mean anything. That's not contrived.
Not at all. So they don't actually succeed. They stop Loki, but one of the frost giants does get away with the box, the 1939 box. Mm-hmm. And then the beer truck crashes into him, and out comes Logan. Not old man Logan, original man Logan, Wolverine. He murders the frost giant because he is the best at what he does, and what he does is murder things with his knife hands.
They're very good.
And he opens the box, and he has an Infinity Stone.
So, for the past several years, there's been a site called iswolverinestilldead.com. And I feel like this has all just been leading up to that moment of them knowing it's going to happen.
That says like that don't exist because they don't know. Wolverine's back because they thought that you needed
4 Wolverines.
Four Wolverines.
Technically 5 if you care about Dawkins, but Dawkins.
Yeah, if you care about Dawkins, then we have 5 because we have Dawkins, we have Jimmy Hudson, we have, of course, Laura Kinney, we have Old Man Logan, and now we have
Young Man Logan. Regular Man Logan.
Logan. All Logans are Old Man Logan.
They are. So, and Here's the other thing. So now we have Logan coming back and Jean coming back. When's Psych coming back? Like, I feel like when's
in 3 weeks. That's when. It's very, very soon is the answer.
Yeah.
You know, I think actually the answer will be after we deal with Emma.
Yeah.
We're gonna deal with the Emma thing, and then we'll bring Psych back.
I'm so glad.
It also might be after we get rid of the time displaced heroes, who, while I like them, I also think are doomed to be gone someday.
They are. I think they're still going to be around for a little while, just because like they're so integrated at this point. They're just, they're a team.
They're a team, and there are definitely still a lot of more stories to tell. But I would have said the same thing about Dick, Bats, and Damian at one point. You know, it felt like this groove, and everybody was loving Dick Grayson as Batman. Damian was such a great Robin to him. Mm-hmm. What's that?
Dick, Bats, and Damian was still about 2 years at tops. Like that's the thing. Like and it's been like 3 or 4 years of the all new X-Men. Like it's been a while.
That's true. They've been around. They've been around longer than that. Yeah. But I don't put it past these guys to just be like,
no, they're definitely not staying around forever.
Yeah. So who knows how much longer they have? Like it might be that X-Men Blue leads up to a big farewell. You know, that might be part of the mandate for that book.
Yeah, it could be.
All right, now the last big thing. Well, first, quick. Wakanda's a space empire. There's no other way to say it. Wakanda is an intergalactic space empire. Speaking of Star Wars, by the way, it's like Wakanda looks like Coruscant.
Space Panther.
Yeah, so we got Space Panther, which I think is a direct result of Black Panther being left with the Infinity Gauntlet at the end of Secret Wars.
Here's the fun part about this. This is all Ta-Nehisi Coates' idea. They've been like, who's doing the story? And they're like, yeah, it's him. It's
awesome.
That's who's doing Space Panther.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, go to space. He knows what a lot of comics need is just to go to space.
Yeah.
You know.
Same thing the X-Men movies need.
One day the X-Men met the Shi'ar and nothing was ever the same. And it was awesome. Speaking of space, Gamora senses that Wolverine has an Infinity Stone. She's just like my Infinity. She's like the Dragon Ball radar in Dragon Ball.
She's like the Dragon
Ball.
Radar.
What is that? Is that a thing?
Maybe I don't know. Guardians. Maybe it's a thing.
So that might mean something is going to happen between Wolverine and the Guardians, which should mean a lot of people get stabbed, but it's not going to.
Yeah.
It would. I'd like the idea of him and Rocket interacting.
That'd be fun.
That'll be fun. I want him to cut up Groot. I want him to just get fed up. I want him to get drunk and be like, "Stop saying I am Groot," and just fucking cut a bunch of X's into him.
He's Baby Groot right now. Maybe we can get regular Groot back.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's been Baby Groot for like half a year.
You mean?
And they're like, no, it's just a coincidence. This is because the story we wanted to tell. It doesn't have anything to do with the movie. We just want to do Baby Groot.
Just came to us in a dream. No idea where Baby Groot. That idea popped into my head. But all right, we've done enough burying the lead. There's a small little scene where Johnny Storm and Ben Grimm are standing on a rooftop, you know, just trying to resist the urge to make out. It looked like to me. Mm-hmm. That was the subtext I got in that scene. Yeah. So anyway, they're like, "Do you remember?" And they're like, "I remember." And then that was basically the whole scene. They were like, "By the way, we do remember being in the Fantastic Four." And
hey
Johnny
guys,
flies
up. 1 is coming back. Remember that? Please buy it.
Exactly. Johnny flies up, lights a big 4 in the sky, classic style. But like, they don't actually know where the rest of the Fantastic Four is. So what did he think he was doing when he lit that 4 in the sky?
Because they've been all over infamous Iron Man, and a lot of the subplot in that book has been them like looking for Reed, kind of explaining what's going on with them.
Yeah, but like, he's not in New York, is he?
I don't think so.
So who's that fucking symbol for? There's just a 4 in the sky. A bunch of people look it up like, hey, there's a 4 in the sky. And the next day they're going to be like, well, that was weird, right? And a few weeks later they're going to be like, remember when there was that 4 in the sky? That was a weird... It's like Chew. How one day we all just forgot about the writing in the sky, and then we came back and we were like, oh yeah, Chicken is Doom.
Chicken is doomed. Chicken was doomed, Scott.
By the way, she was brilliant.
She was really good.
She was
interesting ending, but kind of polarizing. I liked you a lot. She was really
so speaking of interesting endings,
yeah,
we finally see like a hand in space, and then we see Val.
So Scott, tell me, what was the cover of DC Universe Rebirth #1?
It was
a hand in
all
space.
of the heroes reaching towards a hand coming out of a blue light space. Yes.
That drew very close.
It drew very close, especially considering the voiceover in all of DC Rebirth #1 was Wally West, whom fans wanted back, and the voiceover we learned in Legacy at the end is Valerie Richards, or Valeria, excuse me.
Yeah, every time in my head I have to. God, it still happens.
So she's hanging out with her brother Franklin. They are in the little fantastic car, little individual seat things, flying around space, talking about visiting universes. We don't see Reed, we don't see Sue, but of course they are implied to be there with their children, and they're all flying around. And that's the big finish: is the Fantastic Four are back.
Yeah,
which
they're gonna be back.
It's this, and you're gonna care this time, is what they're saying. And hopefully there's going to be a lot about the kids, because I think the kids are very, very interesting. So speaking of which, I didn't even notice this character, but apparently Legacy retconned a character into the Avengers.
She's not in this issue yet.
Oh, she's not in this issue yet. Yeah. Okay.
But they're saying, there's clues. You'll be able to figure out who it is. So there's a character who is going to be called Valerie Vector.
Valerie Vector is coming to Avengers. Maybe we should wait till that issue comes out, and we'll talk about Valerie Vector when she arrives.
It's a thing that, it's the same thing, they're doing interviews. They're all we know is the cover, and they've been saying, it's all figure out who it is, but
her name's Valerie, so it's probably Valeria Richards.
Yeah, it's definitely.
That is our guess. We're probably wrong. I hope that we're wrong as hell, and it's just somebody. It'll be Gwen Stacy.
It'll be Sun Girl.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll be it'll be an Atlas character, or it'll be a Timely Comics character that no one remembered, which I could see them doing something with, but
that would actually be really cool. It's the original Human Torch.
But that guy sucks.
Well, that's why it's a woman now.
There we go. Exactly. That makes it more interesting.
Much more interesting. Female war robot from the 40s retconned herself into existence. So yeah, that was Legacy. It happened. I
liked it. It was a good comic. There's some things it does, like Wolverine, but just they could have. I would say they could handle having 3 Wolverines right now. They really can't. They just have 1 in 5 books and ignore the other 2. But they'll tell good stories. They'll tell bad stories.
Yeah, I mean, Wolverine is we should basically. I understand everybody who complains about Wolverine's overexposure, but at the same time, it's just part of the industry now. It has been for 30 years, and
it's Batman. Of course he's going to be.
It's just time to grant the premise and do our best with it.
Yeah, same thing with Dick Bats. It's we knew he had to come back.
Yeah, because Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's gonna Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just wish it did more on its own.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was literally just a preview book to me. Whereas, and maybe Rebirth was just that too, but it still, at least Rebirth had the conversation between Wally and Barry, and it still left me with this feeling of everything's going to be different now. And I didn't get that feeling with Legacy.
Yeah.
It didn't have that hey, we're changing our perspective, or we're returning to our roots or whatever. It was just hey, here's some new story plots.
Yeah.
Go see Space Wakanda. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the biggest thing it did was changing the history of the Avengers, and I think that's where Voyager's going to come in, being things went differently. We're remembering this shit now.
And is that so? It's basically making the Avengers BC is the big change.
I didn't
notice a retcon to the Avengers history in Legacy. Did I just miss it?
I think there was one, but I'm going to be honest. I read this book a week ago.
Yeah.
I read it on Wednesday. What am I talking about? But
there was a few days ago. But
yeah, there's something. But that's bad radio.
That is bad radio. Anyway, obviously the big plot is going to come from this whole Celestial Death thing, and big, that'll be probably what the weekly is going to lead up to at the end.
Yeah, and hey,
which I think I'm going to read.
Story. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like a good weekly. I love that I can have, I like digitals for that reason, that I can have something that reliable.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love a good monthly too, but I'm just
Weeklies
an
are
addict. That's the problem. Is I just need more comics, and I need them fast.
In my veins.
I'm
So speaking of more comics.
Speaking of more comics,
there's a lot of one comic that we have not been able to talk about.
Let's talk about that, and then we'll do a few little cool down issues.
Yeah. Afterwards.
DC Dark Knight's Metal. I keep just calling it DC Metal, not Dark Knight's Metal, because that's what it was for a while. Or Dark Crisis at one point it was going to be called.
Yeah.
Which means, they had really big plans for this storyline. DC Metal is number 2 is out, plus a couple of the tie-ins. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the Murder Machine. We're going to talk about the Red Death. We're going to talk about the first 2 issues, or maybe the first 3 issues, up through the Nightwing issue of the Gotham Resistance tie-in.
Yeah.
So that's 2 issues. And, of course, the events of Metal number 1 and Metal number 2. So if you haven't read that, you don't want spoilers.
We can do up to the Suicide Squad issue. That came out this week, right?
Do that. I have not read that yet.
Okay. So I actually haven't either. I was bluffing.
Okay, good. I forgot that's what was next. So because I'm not normally reading Suicide Squad, I forgot to check it out. But we'll make sure that we do that. We will, of course, not neglect any of this storyline. We will neglect other things for Metal. It's going to be crazy when Doomsday Clock comes out in like a month and a half.
What the fuck is that book going to be?
I have no idea. I hope it's just Superboy Prime.
I want it to be Superboy Prime misinterpreting Watchmen. Like, if that could just be a story about fans getting Watchmen wrong from the creators who have been accused of getting it wrong for years, like, it's not going to... Jeff Jones he said, not to be specific, but he said the thing, he's like, there'll be something wrong with these characters you'll sing. He's like, there'll be something off, and like, it won't all be there. He's like, there's going to be something that's a little off from what you expect.
Huh. It sounds like maybe they're going to make them not the real Watchmen.
Yeah.
So that they leave the real Watchmen, preserved.
Yeah, let them be their thing.
Yeah, let them be their thing. But we can use these versions. Maybe it'll be like they're actually... Captain Atom and the original Charlton comics characters.
Be something like that. We'll find out where the fuck the Question is in Rebirth.
Yeah, oh my god.
Where's that Dick Sage who was leading the Suicide Squad?
I got way too invested in the original Question storyline at the beginning of the Trinity of Stid. I was so curious about him. I was like, oh man, this new Question, I gotta know. And
he was Rorschach, man. We're gonna find out.
I fucking hope so. Just because I just need some closure. They just killed off Pandora. Never learned anything about that. I mean,
they killed her off like Rorschach.
That's true. They killed her off exactly like Rorschach, which is cool. But anyway, we will get to Doomsday Clock. We are putting the cart before the horse right now.
So we talked about number 2 first, right?
Yes. Number 2, which brought about the end of Days.
And that's what I was really.
It was really a big manhunt, though, and that's part of what I'm liking about this series is that, like, the end of Metal number 2 feels like the beginning of the event. Yeah. That's where Forever Evil number 1 ended. It's literally exactly where Forever Evil number 1 ended, and we'll get to some comparisons of Forever Evil and this event because there are some.
Like in Murder Machine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Heavy.
So, and with what's going on in the Gotham Resistance. Is very resemblant of several things. So anyway, Metal number 2, Batman has stolen the Nth Metal, and basically every Justice Leaguer that is allowed to be in this book right now is on the big old Batman hunt.
Yeah, they're I see what you did there. Yeah, they're chasing him down. It's like it's chasing a convoy. And what we discover very quickly as they're going is that there's multiple Batmen.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dudes that all look like Batman. And so some of them are, we see Dick Grayson with that mask thing he had in Batman number 1 in the beginning of New 52.
That's a callback.
Great callback. There's gonna be lots of those with Scott Snyder's Batman run in this series, of course. So we got that. We got Damian driving a big old bus.
We got Scott Snyder riding Damian, which doesn't happen much.
Yeah, very surprising to see Damian's role. And I really like Damian's role in Gotham Resistance, which, of course, is not Scott Snyder. But I love that he's like, my father's gone, and I'm the only I have to find him. I have to just do this. That's excellent to me, especially because he just totally didn't do that when Bruce did his weird Batman dying, not dying thing at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, he just wasn't part. Damian wasn't part of that.
He was like, I'm just gonna leave Gotham for a year and not try to mess this up too hard.
I'm gonna have adventures with my furry man bat friend and my nobody girlfriend.
Awesome. I love Goliath.
Goliath is great. Goliath's gonna stick around, I think. That Damian's just gonna.
Goliath's better. I love Damian's whole host of animals.
Yeah.
I love that Damian is a vegetarian. I want that to like come up a little more, especially with the Teen Titans, because Beast Boy is always a vegetarian. That's classic Beast Boy. And I want Beast Boy and Damian to bond over that, but Damian still hates Beast Boy, of course, because that was bound to happen. But anyway,
so
Hunt does not go well.
And one of my favorite things that happens is basically take down all the Batman, and they get to the one that they're pretty sure, like, all right, this is the real Batman, and Superman stabs him through the chest with his hand.
Yeah, just like Injustice, like Wukong, like,
fucking jabs him through.
It was crazy, and of course,
luckily enough, it was Clayface.
But like, okay, Superman.
Yeah. What if you were wrong?
Like, even if you know you're not, there's a better way of being like this. You could have just been like, come on, Clayface, and he would have been like, okay, Superman. Like, Clayface usually admits when he's been caught. But no, he's got to make Wonder Woman think that he's a murderer for a second. He's just being a dick.
It's really the Injustice event.
Yeah. So, it's actually really cool the way this book is structured, because at the very beginning, Wonder Woman and Superman are on opposite sides of the Earth. And they're talking to each other through the Justice League communicators. And at the end of the issue, Wonder Woman and Superman come together and find Batman in the same place. They have all the heroes all over the world. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's just the two of them, just the Trinity at the end. But they find him, though, because, well, not actually. We do see that the manhunt is really being led by Lady Blackhawk. She's the one who really needs to find Batman. She's the one who has sworn to kill him to stop Barbados. Is it Bados?
Barbados. Barbados is the pirate. Barbados is the demon.
Well, Barbados is an actual place.
Yeah, it would
also be like, I read this as Barbados, but when we're going to be doing, it's not quite clear who all will be involved in the interview, but Shoot the Breeze, panels to panel featuring Comic Watch, will be doing an interview with Scott Snyder, and I will be certain,
that'll be fun.
I will be certain to ask him how to pronounce Barbados.
We should also mention that Lady Blackhawk is Hawkgirl.
And it's Hawkgirl, Lady Black Hawkgirl. Kedra Saunders. She goes to the Immortal Men. She goes to a volcano in Antarctica, because that's the thing. And out of the volcano rises the Legion of Doom.
Black Manta's head.
Straight up looks like Black Manta's head, like right out of the Super Friends cartoon. Here comes the Legion of Doom. So they don't call it that, but it is that. And it looks like characters. It looks like it on the inside. It's got Vandal Savage at the helm, just like the movie Justice League Doom. It's got all, the seats all in a row, and they have behind Vandal Savage the symbols of the three big tribes: the birds, the bears, and the wolf tribe. Yeah. And the bats are the fourth tribe, but they're not the Judas tribe, which we talked a little bit about. That's weird.
Yeah.
We don't know what that's all about. So she's like, "Oh my God, they're gonna go to Hawkman's tomb. That's where they think they need to go." But the problem is, I buried Hawkman's tomb, and the place they all think is Hawkman's tomb is actually Hathset's tomb. Hathset is Hawkman's nemesis. So that's where Bruce, Diana, and Clark all find themselves at the end of this book. Thinking they've gone to Hawkman's tomb, they walk right into a trap at the tomb of Hathset. And in walks the Judas tribe. The tribe that split from the birds and the bats years ago, now called themselves the Court of Owls.
I think before that, though, there's an important reveal. As we've been going through the book, Batman has the secret weapon. He has something in his backpack. And I think it was before the Judas Project shows up that Batman reveals from his backpack is the most surprise return character so far this year, Baby Darkseid.
Baby Darkseid!
With little baby booties, little baby goggles. And
he makes little baby sounds like
the bad guys are like,
symbol. We're here, and he's like, he just makes little baby sounds.
And he also just has one of his bubbles at some point is just the Omega symbol. So he's like, Omega, Darkseid.
Little evil Baby Darkseid. And so Batman has figured that he's going to use Baby Darkseid to summon something.
He's holding him like a gun. He's being like, I've got him, but I'm not afraid to use him.
Yeah, he's like, I've got the baby. Step back from my evil dark side baby. It's hilarious. So yeah, that happens. The owls show up and they go through the 5 medals that they've used on Batman.
Yeah,
and it's actually really cool
stuff.
Yeah, it starts at the very beginning with the Court of Owls. The medal that they used to revive the owls is the first one.
Medal that was in the labyrinth.
Yeah, and it was in the labyrinth. That's when they marked him with it. The second one is, man, I used to know all these off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The second one, what was the second
medal?
Is
from the end of Death of the Family. It's the
yes.
What's it called?
It's the Dionysium.
Yeah, it's the Dionysium.
That Joker used to revive himself, basically, and put his face back together.
Yeah.
The third one, I'm terrible at this. This is terrible radio. I'm sorry, guys. I should really have been prepared. We're gonna get to the bottom of this because it's really cool
I'll race you.
How they do. All Scott Snyder stuff has really been leading to this clearly from day one. With the 5 different medals they've worked on, it's been a really well crafted story amongst really well crafted stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've just done a good job in general of stuff like that. Man, I'm sorry because of the stream. My internet is just hacking right now.
Yeah, so I'm rushing there. I'm seeing if I can get a quick memory of what they were.
Here we go. Yeah, so it's weird because the Court of Owls have been 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah.
In a few different books.
Mm-hmm. They've been a secret society. They've been an ancient tribe. They've been Court of Owls is really interesting in the way, and so quickly it integrated itself instantly with the mythology.
Yeah, people really took to the Court of Owls really fast. Even Gotham, the TV show, made them their second season thing.
Yeah. They gave us the Talon. And they also gave us Azrael.
They gave us the Talon, they gave us Azrael, and they blew him up with a rocket launcher.
I watched that scene 7 times in a row on Netflix last night because I have not seen it in a while. And this rock music starts to Butch blows him up. Not important. But I'm giving us time to stall while we find out what the key medals were.
So I don't know why I can't find the right panel, but they've hit him with 4 medals. One of them was the one that he used after. So there was the Dionysium, there was the Talons, there was the one he used to basically reboot himself at the end of Super Heavy when he needed to get his memories back.
Yeah.
There's the Nth medal itself. There we go. So there's the one he used to reboot himself. That was when they did that issue that was all the parallel versions of Batman. He just kept going again and again, and he had to go past death to find himself again. It was awesome, and it kind of harkened back to Grant Morrison's Final Crisis with the Slig. The Nth medal that they used to sort of open the portal and glimpse in at the end of Dark Days, and now the 5th one was made by the Powers Company in Gotham, and it's called Batmanium. There's a scene at the end of Scott Snyder's run where the scientists at Powers are charging up their Large Hadron Collider to create Batmanium. Mm-hmm. And when they do, the panels only show the collider, and so you hear off panel, you read off panel description, they are screaming and getting attacked, and something horrible is happening when they create it, and then it's never mentioned again. It's just this these 2 pages about the scientists at Powers and something horrible happens. I guess we can assume now they were all killed by the Owls and they took the Batmanium. And by putting the Batmanium on Batman, they've created the 5th medal, and they open the portal, and Batman just vanishes. They lay Superman and Wonder Woman out because they can, I guess. Baby Darkseid, they're just they're holding him.
And that's where it is the Omega symbol.
Yeah. Batman vanishes, he becomes all silvery, and just boop, he becomes a portal.
Mm-hmm. And suddenly these Robins, demonic little imps, burst out saying crow.
Yeah, and they attack and kill and
the hell
start
out of them.
eating all of the owls. They just kill the owls. The owls were expecting to be thanked and to accept their leader, and instead a bunch of little robins just start murdering the fuck out of them.
Yeah, they tear them apart one by one.
And to summon them back off screen, their master says bar. Mm-hmm. So their command is crowbar, because that's what Joker likes to use to kill robins, which is probably my favorite thing of this entire book right there.
It's so good.
I know it's dark and I know it's probably bad, but I love me a good crowbar joke.
I'm just looking at Baby Darkseid again and his little pouty lips, and he's so precious.
So great. So Wonder Woman and Batman are lying on the ground, and they're like, "Oh my God, Bruce, where is he?" And the large voice of Barbados says, "You want Bruce Wayne?
Look around."
Look around, and all 7 of the Dark Knights are standing there. They all say, "I'm right here." And so we've got the Drowned, the Aquawoman Batman, we've got the Devastator, the Doomsday Batman, the Murder Machine, the Cyborg Batman, the Batman Who Laughs, the Joker Batman, the Dawnbreaker, is that Wonder Woman?
No, the Dawnbreaker is Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. The Red Death, which is Flash Batman, and then what's Wonder Woman Batman's name?
Wonder Woman is the Merciless.
The Merciless. There you go.
And I think the instant thing to point out right here that I didn't get for the longest time is, well, everyone's the heroes. The Trinity is the villains, because you have Doomsday Batman, Joker Batman, and Ares Batman.
Yes, that's true. Whereas other than that, you do have Cyborg Batman, Flash Batman, Green Lantern Batman, and Aquawoman Batman. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've got them. They are here,
and you have Barbados himself, which is just this terrifying, lumbering figure.
Like, we barely see him. You know, like we sort of saw. At least we saw what the Hyper Adaptoid looked like in Return of Bruce Wayne, and it's a big ass bat thing. But we don't know what this is going to look like. But man, I know Greg Capullo is going to draw the hell out of it. After how terrifying Bloom ended up being when he got all giant at the end of Super Heavy, I am really excited to see what he does with Barbados.
And then they fought Bloom with a giant robot.
Yeah, that was great, so good. So at the end, Baby Darkseid is just sitting there looking at them.
Yeah, he's just looking up on the corner.
Which is weird because in the most recent issue of Wonder Woman, which we're going to talk about, or maybe we should just talk about this one thing, because that's really all we care about that much in it. Darkseid, Grail kills Hercules.
Yeah.
Takes
like this god thing from him.
Somehow gives his life force to Baby Darkseid, and Baby Darkseid becomes Kid Darkseid. He looks like he looks like the age of Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes, he looks like Kid Apocalypse.
Yeah, he does look like Kid Apocalypse, but he's Kid Darkseid. Mm-hmm. So we've got Kid Darkseid now, which is weird because I don't feel like Baby Darkseid just flew out of Metal. So maybe that takes place after Metal.
Yeah, I'm sure you just don't question the timeline.
We'll see, because I feel like with Robinson taking over Wonder Woman right now and the storylines with Mr. Oz, I think all roads, like, we've done the Metal lead up in the Bat books, and now all roads lead to Doomsday Clock. And I think that Darkseid just needs to be Darkseid again for because Jeff Johns probably planned to write more between Darkseid War and Doomsday Clock, but he's too busy being Jeff Johns.
Very busy.
So he can't. So that's the end of Metal 2. And that leads us to the tie-ins, right? The Dark Knights are here.
Super quick, Scott. Do you have that spread from Dark Knight Metal number 2 up?
I do. I'm looking at it right now.
Look at the Devastator's thighs. Like, this reminds me of Leatherwing from the Mastermen. Look how big this dude's legs are.
His Doomsday, dude.
Yeah, but, like, especially, like, those look like massive bat thighs.
They are some serious thunder thighs right there.
That reminds me of, like, you remember the Masterman where we had Leatherwing, the evil Batman, the Nazi Batman, and had, like, those giant thighs.
He was just so... I mean, it was Jim Lee. Jim Lee just draws some big-ass thighs.
That dude likes hips.
He does. He really does. Man, yeah, this page is so good. So they are all here. From the first 2 tie-ins that we have, or the first 2 one-shots for the evil Batman that we've read, it seems like they each go to their city and kind of take it over, which very much reminds me of Forever Evil, how they kind of divvy up the territory, especially with, like, the Flash, the evil Flash, Johnny Quick, from Earth 3, all the stuff that he does. Kind of reminds me of what, because he goes to Gotham and gives the criminals the reign. Right. And so that takes us to the Gotham Resistance tie-in that starts in Teen Titans.
Yeah, goes to Nightwing.
Where the evil Batman or they're all evil Batman. The Joker Batman, the Batman who laughs. He goes to Gotham and he has these nth metal cards, and they give him the ability to manipulate reality. So he gives them to the villains. First, he gives it to the Riddler. First, we see Riddler to make the outside ring of what the new Gotham will be as a labyrinth to prevent anybody from getting inside. Right. Because now that Challenger Mountain is gone because of the manipulating thing, it seems like this is where everything's happening. This is where if we get to the heart of Gotham, that's where we're going to find the portals, where we're going to find Batman. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's where Hawkman's or Hatset's tomb is, but I guess so.
Hawkman's going to be a part of this event too. Hawkman Found by Jeff Lemire.
Found by Jeff Lemire and Brian Hitch. That's going to be a thing. So yeah, Gotham Resistance. First up is the Riddler.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, how did Teen Titans go? I should remember this better.
Teen Titans basically just, so he comes in, he breaks into Riddler. He's like, oh, you want to have a little taste of power, do you? Well, let me show you what this card is able to do. And he gives him, like, the power to have this whole labyrinth. And basically the whole thing is just the Teen Titans going around, kind of doing their thing, fighting. They end up teaming up with the Suicide Squad first shows up in this issue. We have some fun Harley Quinn. And the big reveal we end up getting here is we see the main Robin of Batman Who Laughs, who is, as we can figure out, Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
Because he says, yes, Father.
And this story seems to revolve around Damian. He has sworn that he has to find Batman. And so he basically, the Teen Titans are sort of holding the fort outside while, once they get to the end of Riddler's Labyrinth, while Damian goes forward into the new area. And he takes Harley Quinn and Green Arrow with him.
Yeah, which is fun because those have Ben Percy's characters.
Yeah, and Ben Percy is writing Teen Titans, and he's writing Green Arrow. And so, the tie-in is going to be in Teen Titans, Nightwing, Green Arrow, and Suicide Squad. So we've got now representatives, because at the end of Teen Titans, they find themselves in Mr. Freeze's territory. That's the next ring. And Nightwing is there, and he's cold.
Yeah. His outfit is thin.
Yeah, and he's following this, like, metal ball.
Yeah.
It's just flying
around. I don't know what that is.
That's weird, but it's kind of the only lead they've got. So they all team up and they run through Freeze's domain. Mm-hmm. And it's cold. It's
another romp. It's teaming up with the squad, but like Croc helps them take out this giant snowman. It's literally a romp. Like it's a fun romp of these characters going around, kicking ass, doing these things, seeing like D&D style Mr. Freeze. And yeah, it's a good tie-in to where it's an adventure. It's like they're going around, seeing different versions of these characters, seeing what's going on, fighting against resistance shit.
Yeah, a little bit of seeing the world of Metal, but not necessarily the plot of Metal, which I think is how a good tie-in should work, right?
Yeah.
And it's got its own story, and it's possible that at the end of Metal we will see these guys show up in the middle, and we'll know where they came from if we're at this tie-in. But it still remains to be seen. Every event, you never know how it's going to be structured. You never know if it's going to be structured well for how you're reading it.
Yeah.
So events are hard to pin down.
Mm-hmm. So now we can go into the other main tie-ins, which has been the Dark Knight's Batman the Blanks.
Yes. And for a little reference, I am reviewing the main Metal series for Shoot the Breeze Comics. And Reed Strong, you're reviewing the one-shots, right?
Yeah, I've done 3 so far, so I would assume I'm doing the rest.
There you go. Yeah, so you're doing things like the Red Death and
the Murder Machine.
The Murder Machine, which are the 2 that we're going to talk about today, because I haven't read Dawnbreaker. Because that
hasn't been released yet.
That's right. We just got the review copies, and I got to get on that. So you could look for that review, of course, on Wednesday when you pick up the book. So we'll start off with the first one: Batman: The Red Death, Evil Flash, Flash Batman, Bat Flash.
This one's really fucking good. This was really good. He says, "Run, Barry, run!" I mean, come on. Yeah,
he really does.
That's why I made all my headlines.
Yeah. So give us the breakdown of the story.
So the breakdown of the story is the first thing we find out is that we're on a different Earth. We see that it's in the midst of a crisis. We get the Batman Who Laughs during a narration talking about like worlds lived, worlds died. It would never be the same again. That sort of thing. And we get to see the middle of Central City, which is in the middle of a crisis, middle of red skies. And we see Batman chasing down the Flash with all the rogue's weapons. Like, he's wearing Captain Cold's visor. He's using the mirror gun. He has the Weather Wizard's wand. And what we find out very quickly is that this is an extremely Frank Miller-y Batman.
Yes,
like,
he looks kind of like the Dark Knight. He's got the bat tank, the crowd control bat tank from the Dark Knight that he uses on the mutants.
He has lines that are just straight out of Frank Miller, like Barry's like, "Why are you using all of their toys?" And he's like, "Because my toys are better." And it's just this, basically he's chasing out Barry because we find out something happened in Gotham. Something happened to the Bat family, that they all died. And he's like, I want the Speed Force. I want to be able to fuck the timeline, me. And so he's able to take down Barry. And we cut to an amazing scene of Barry being strapped to the front of the Batmobile. Batman's using it like the cosmic treadmill to steal
Cosmic Batmobile.
Cosmic Batmobile. And it works.
It kind of works.
Yeah, it kind of works. Not in the way we would expect. It gives Batman the Speed Force, but it traps Barry in his head.
Yeah.
So the Red Death is Batman and is Bruce Wayne and Barry.
Yes, and every time the Red Death speaks, there's kind of like two speech bubbles, one on top of each other. That sort of implies you're hearing both voices. And every once in a while, Barry comes out and says something, which usually, hey, stop this, you're evil as fuck now. Yeah. And then Batman's like, no, and then we are evil again.
Yeah. And he has like little Speed Force bats coming off of him. And then the rest of the issue is basically just comes to Central City, blows the hell up, creates an evil bat signal that blasts the Red Death symbol into the sky.
Yeah.
So one thing that's really interesting about this book is it takes place on Negative Earth 52.
Yeah, which it's interesting because we saw that the worry was implied that the dark multiverse is on the back of the multiverse because they turned the map over, which is of course just symbolic. But
so it's literally negative Earths, which is great.
Yeah, I like that it's negative Earths, although it's a little complicated because books will just say Earth dash and then the number.
Yeah. Yeah, and now it's Earth dash. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's a little weird, but it's fine. Like, we get that it's Earth negative 52, but so it's the multiverse is a little weird. And I love the multiverse. I'm all about cosmic DC and the big continuity crisis stuff. I'm all about that. That is our shit. So the multiverse it's kind of unclear whether or not it's 52 Earths.
Yeah, because you're saying there is no Earth 52.
There is no Earth 52. It's 0 to 51. That's the multiverse. Yeah.
And that's how it's been since 52 itself.
Yes, it's the end of Infinite Crisis. Mm-hmm. And so, but the thing is, Convergence did that weird thing that sort of implied that the multiverse never died in Crisis, but nobody cares about Convergence, and nobody ever talked about it. And so we've still got the map, There's still multiversity references here and there, and allegedly Grant Morrison's going to come back and do more multiversity stuff.
He's doing the sequel to Arkham Asylum.
That's what he said. That's what he says.
Well, they've shown a few pages. It may or may not happen.
They showed pages of multiversity like 8 years ago.
They did, and then we got it.
That's true. Really true. But that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. We did eventually get it. And hey, there's a TV show for Happy, so who knows? Everything is possible.
There is a TV show for Happy.
Sci-Fi is making a TV show for Happy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Anyway, so, the Red Death.
There's a line by Joker that's, one bad. Are we robots?
You're good, I think.
We back?
We may have reached strong. Mercy of the internet, as always. We're gonna figure this out. We promise.
We will. Waiting until I'm back.
So anyway, the Red Death ended. Hey, here he is. He's the Red Death. He's in Central City. This thing. Reed, I'll let you know when you're like out. So I'll let you know when we have a more of a standard thing. Try speaking again.
Okay, it's gonna be very good.
Difficulties, but there's off. If I does, as you probably all know. Reed's internet catches up. And it's basically just setting up these guys are in town. So the multiverse thing is Earth -52, which there is no Earth 52 for that to be a parallel on, which doesn't necessarily matter. These could be any Earth and any dark multiverse, whatever.
I can't tell if I'm here. I think I'm here.
Oh, and you are here. Okay, so
yes.
Yes, I was saying that Earth -52, it's fine for it to not have a parallel or a mirror image, but in the Murder Machine, it very much is a mirror image.
Yeah.
Because this takes place on, what is it? Earth -44. 44.
I thought was it 4? I thought it was 34. Okay.
It's 44. I'm looking at it now.
Okay.
And unless my memory deceives me, Earth 44 in the main multiverse, not the dark multiverse, is the one from Grant Morrison's Action Comics at the beginning of the New 52 that was a world that didn't have a Superman. It was a Clark Kent, but he was a normal man. So Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane got together and tried to build a robot Superman, and it did not go well, and it became evil and ended up like breaking into other realities, and it was called Super Doomsday.
So that is Earth 45.
That's Earth 45?
However, Earth 44 is still
excited.
Earth 44 is still parallel because Earth 44 is where Doc Will Tornado, who is like Doc Magnus plus plus Teomaro, makes the Justice League out of the Metal Men.
So all of the Justice League are robots in this. Okay, that is actually very interesting. So if anybody is familiar with Valiant comics, there's a character called Rye, who's basically like a future version of Bloodshot.
That's what Rye is? Okay.
Yeah, he's like a future version of Bloodshot, and he is commanded by like the guy who rules New Tokyo, and it's kind of like a father figure to him. And so this book, both the art and the premise, reminded me a lot of Rye, which is a reference probably like 6 people will get. But it was basically that. So anyway, Batman the Murder Machine in heavy metal on Earth -44.
We have one of my favorite lines. Yeah.
And we didn't quite mention on the Red Death Earth, the Robins died.
Yeah.
That was
something happened to Gotham.
Yeah, so they happened to Gotham, the Robins died, and in this one, Alfred died. And I feel like we're going to see more and more of that. That part of what makes these Batmen go evil is that they don't have their companions.
Yeah.
Because Batman doesn't work alone. That's bullshit. He got Robin like immediately.
He did. It
was 1940.
It was very quick. So, yeah, Murder Machine basically, it's not just that Alfred died. It's that he was brutally tortured to death by, like, Bane breaking his back, Harley Quinn beating the shit out of him. Who's that other person who's not Killer Croc?
Okay, yeah, let me look at the panel real quick.
Yeah, see if we can find that. I still don't know who that is.
It could be Clayface. I think it's supposed to be Clayface.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, it could be a Clayface.
Basically, like Nightfall happens to Alfred instead of Batman.
Yeah, and we find out that the panels we're seeing is Bruce watching the video again and again and again.
Yeah, just torturing himself as he does when people die
at Alfred's funeral or at the wake.
Yeah,
and the League comes down. They're like, Bruce, you got to stop doing this. But Bruce is like, I'm sad. And as everyone's leaving, Cyborg is there, and he's like, Vic, there's this thing that I planned. I was going to involve using Alfred's AI. It was this idea I had to preserve him called the Alfred Protocol, which is also from Scott Snyder.
Yes, yeah. And isn't that also in Batman Beyond, or am I wrong about that?
There was an AI Alfred, but that was not the Alfred Protocol.
Okay. So yeah,
there was a robot called ALFRED.
Yeah, the Alfred Protocol is the thing. In this case, it's basically to keep Alfred alive forever.
Yeah.
Like Tony Stark is right now in the Marvel comics.
Yeah, it's that.
But it's also it's your classic, and it's actually kind of fun that it is a very classic robot takeover story. and it happens to Cyborg. Cyborg doesn't take over. Cyborg does decide to assist Batman and creates the Alfred Protocol and creates an AI version of Alfred that is not just AI, but is also like a bunch of nanites, super robot. And that's where the Bloodshot connection really comes in, because that's Bloodshot is all nanites, and he eats.
And nanites courtesy of Victor Stone.
Yes, nanites courtesy.
They're delivering high-frequency Batman that's killing all your villains. You're not going to be alive for quite a while. Man, that should have been the title. But anyway, I would have used that before. I used that with Ray Palmer.
It's going to be good to have television back soon.
It really is. We're going to have the Ray.
For those of you who are very confused right now, there's sort of a meme that came out of an episode of Arrow where he says that they're nanites courtesy of Ray Palmer.
They're delivering a high-frequency pulse that's disabling your speed. You're not going to be running around for quite a while. Stephen Amell is great, and he just gives very fun deliveries of lines.
Yes, he is very great. So anyway, nanites courtesy of Victor Stone become Alfred, and Alfred is like, okay, how
can I help you? How can I help you?
How can I help you? He basically gets
beating Bane to death.
Like, how do I save and protect Batman? And the answer is, well, all of his villains definitely have to die.
Yeah.
So he makes a bunch of robot versions of himself, and he just starts murdering villains.
Yeah.
And Bruce calls Cyborg back to the Bat Cave and is like, so I've locked Alfred out because he's gone crazy. The Alfred AI has gone evil, straight up Terminator style. I've created a trap for him. I need you to help me lure him here. We can set this trap and stop the Alfred Protocol. And Vic is like, all right, you done fucked up, but I'll go for it. And it fails miserably.
It goes very, very bad.
Very poorly. Alfred AI busts in. The nanites fuse with Batman, and they become one.
They become some kind of murder machine.
They become they say that, like an episode of Gotham, as you pointed out. They become some kind of murder machine, and it's this nanite version of Batman that looks all cool. And the Alfred AI basically is like, how may I help you? How can I best help Bruce? Well, Bruce needs to get rid of his fear. He needs to get rid of his morality, stop him from killing bad guys. He needs to get rid of a lot of things that make him Batman and make him good, and basically to strip him of all his humanity. So we have the will and brutality of Batman kind of untethered in a crazy AI body, and that is what the murder machine is.
And then it rips off Cyborg's head.
It rips off Cyborg's head.
And that's not the only time Cyborg's going to get his limbs ripped off this issue, because we cut back to Earth Zero, where they're basically he's been fighting the whole time, because there's been this parallel storyline of Cyborg's talking to his father, Silas Stone, and basically is like his father's still listening to the broadcast. Cyborg's find the murder machine. Yeah, the murder machine starts beating the shit out of him. And
after the origin story, we do see the murder machine join the Dark Knights, and then the part of the storyline is in the present during Metal on Earth Zero, murder machine versus Cyborg, and it goes, of course, poorly for Cyborg, like you said.
Yeah, and then the Dark Knights show up again in a splash that looked a lot like the one from Dark Knight Metal #2, and then Cyborg gets his limbs ripped off one by one by an evil version of Cyborg, which is... What else did that happen in, Scott? That seems very familiar. I don't know where else that happened.
I know it doesn't sound at all like the fight between Grid and Cyborg and Forever Evil.
It definitely didn't happen.
Yeah, so more Forever Evil. But the Dark Knights take Cyborg in the proper Metal timeline, not in the origin story. Yeah. They take Cyborg, but they don't kill him. They imply there's something special about him. And we know that Cyborg is fused with a mother box. Yeah. Feeling the weird metal vibrations before, so I think that's going to be a thing, and I think that we're going to see something similar happen with Green Lantern, because he was feeling metal things. That basically there's going to be some plot device that keeps them alive, and the evil Batman from murdering all the Justice League, because we got to have Justice League. And so this story ends with them not only taking over Detroit, which is Cyborg's hometown, but the Watchtower, and I like that. That's Cyborg's territory, is the Watchtower. It's this evil-looking Bat Watchtower.
Yeah, it's looking menacing, blasting down this huge... the bat symbol onto the city.
Yeah.
Or onto Earth.
We got evil bat symbols all over the place. So Metal's just cooking up, and it's already kicking ass. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
We're having a good time with it. We're huge fans of Scott Snyder's Batman, so it's delivering a lot. It's actually... I keep saying that, though, but it's not. It keeps referencing his Batman run, but it's really not like it's its own story. Especially these tie-ins. Yeah. You don't have to read anything to be appreciating Metal.
It helps, but you do not have to.
Yeah. Especially, I think, with these tie-ins, and now that the Dark Knights have invaded, and they'll be like, we have no idea how to stop this. We have no idea what the resistance, the main plot is going to look like, and for the heroes and how to fight back against the Dark Knights. And that I expect to be a contained storyline that's just heroes doing their hero thing. So yeah, Forever Evil Metal is going well.
Forever Metal.
All right. So what other big things do we have to talk about?
We should brought Action Comics and Detective. That's kind of one thing.
Big Mr. Oz reveal. We talked about the big reveal that it's Jor-El 2 weeks ago. And so after
the first page of Action Comics this week is I Don't Believe You, or Liar.
It's Superman calling his father a liar. And he goes to Kellex, and Kellex is like, DNA confirmed. It's definitely Superman, or it's definitely your dad, Superman. It's Jor-El. And Jor-El's like, my DNA is in the crystals because Fortress of Solitude. And he starts playing the history. Mm-hmm. Classic, Superman learns his origin story where he goes to the fortress and there's a crystal with Jor-El's memories that he sees. And so, what you're expecting as you read this issue is this is going to be the new origin of Superman. They're going to put something new or different in there.
Right.
And that's technically true.
Yeah.
Because we've heard the joke, why would Jor-El just make one spaceship to save one baby? Mm-hmm. And initially his plan was to make an arc to save a bunch of people, save as many as possible. But his financier and father-in-law was like, this is bad, you can't do this because ever since Jax Ur's crimes, space travel is illegal, which is weird. We don't know what that means. We probably will.
Yeah, interesting to see that's an animated series villain.
He's not just...
He was.
He was original.
Yeah, he was original for that because they couldn't use Zod.
But he's been in the comics since then, right?
Not much. Honestly, he's barely been in the comics.
Cool. So yeah, we're going to get some of that. That's going to be Jax Ur did something. I expect that to be part more of Dan Jurgens' big storyline with Zod and all the Kryptonians and the Phantom Zone and stuff. Mm-hmm. He mentions that Zod can shut him down if he finds out. Lots of good name drops, basically.
Yeah, lots of, hey, Krypton.
Pregnant Supermama comes in and she's like, I wish my men wouldn't fight with each other. And then her dad's like, I'm shutting this shit down. So he destroys the whole project, burns the files in the computer. So that explains why Jor-El only had time to send his son and not didn't save anybody else. And that's it. That's the new origin of Superman.
And then he was in space and he was rescued by Dr. Manhattan.
And then because I expected it to be like there was another spaceship, something happened that wasn't just this, but no. He sees his wife died and then poof, he just poofs to safety. Which
he's surrounded by this blue light.
Is presumably Dr. Manhattan. We're like 98% certain it's Dr. Manhattan. Mm-hmm. It'd be weird if it wasn't
Dr. Superboy Hatton.
So yeah, it's just a real shame. Like, not only was I underwhelmed by the Jor-El reveal, but now I find out that this whole thing is another tease for Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Wait 3 years to find out who Mr. Oz is, and the answer is Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, basically.
Kind of. So yeah, basically Mr. Oz got brainwashed by Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan put him in a war-torn country and was like, you're going to see some shit. And then he was like,
humanity's bad.
And then he yanks him out of the war-torn country and then just shows him human history on giant screens with holding his eyes open like Clockwork Orange.
Orange.
If you're going to do that, why'd you need to do the first thing? Why couldn't you just show him the propaganda video? So he's like, humans are bad. And then he's like, now I have
bad
and I'm powerful and I'm going to take Superman and show him that I'm unworthy, which is weird. But he's legitimately much more interesting in the pages of Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
we've seen Mr. Really Oz about him.
In a while ago, he just kidnapped Tim Drake. He just was like, "Doop, Tim Drake, you're in my prison now." And he did the same thing to Tim Drake in Batman Beyond, which was very convenient because it made room for Terry to be Batman.
Yes, it did. Very convenient.
So we finally, in this issue, we see Tim and
the prisoner.
Mr. Oz talking.
And we get the reveal in this book that is like, it's Jor-El, and Tim's like, oh, hey, I recognize Kryptonian garb.
Mm-hmm. Not just Kryptonian garb, he recognizes Kryptonian code.
Yeah, which Tim would. Tim's a study.
Super genius, right?
Yeah.
So he breaks out of prison. He breaks out of Mr. Oz's prison, which is very, very impressive.
Yeah.
And
he hacks it.
And Mr. Oz is basically like, all right, I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
He just leaves. He's like, okay, congratulations. Hope you find your way out. And just poofs off to presumably Action Comics. Which is weird.
But that's not all we see of Tim.
Yeah. So
Tim runs into someone because he hears Bruce Wayne. He's able to reach his communicator.
Well, he sends out a distress call initially.
Yeah.
Saying he tries to send it to Batman. He says, Batman, I'm alive. Batman, come find me. Batman.
Yeah. Batman.
And he gets a call back from somebody who's like, yo, it's me.
Batman.
I'm Batman. And you always know when you're talking to Batman because he will tell you
he's Batman.
It's Batman's favorite thing to do.
He's goddamn Batman.
Goddamn Batman. So, and you noticed this.
Yeah.
Tim and I didn't. My thought immediately when this happened was, oh, this is Tim Drake from Future's End and Batman Beyond, because he was Batman in Batman Beyond, saying he's Batman.
Yeah, because here's the way he introduces himself. He says, "I'm Tim Drake, the Batman of tomorrow."
He calls himself the Bat. Well, initially he just says this is Batman, just on the radio. That's when I had already decided in my head. That's that's Future's End Tim Drake. That's why I didn't think about it. And you pointed this out when finally Tim does meet this Batman, and he's not wearing the Batman Beyond costume, which should have been my first really big clue.
Yeah, he's wearing a regular batsuit. Well, kind of. He's wearing a particular batsuit that we have seen before in the pages of Teen Titans. Yes. Because this, it turns out, is the Batman of tomorrow from the Titans of Tomorrow.
Yes, which is a storyline from 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, which is the story from 10 years ago.
Yeah, longer than that because Connor was still alive, so it was before Infinite Crisis.
Yeah. Long time ago.
So in the storyline, something happened with time travel because comics, and all of the Teen Titans met future versions of themselves. So Superboy had become Superman, Tim Drake had become Batman, Beast Boy had become Animal Man.
Beast Boy was Animal Man.
That was
great.
That was cool. Tula was Aquawoman, I think. And a few other, we had Wonder Girl had become Wonder Woman. Stuff like that. And so throughout, we basically find out in the storyline these future versions of themselves are the bad guys. The Teen Titans have to fight the future versions of themselves. It's probably my favorite Teen Titans storyline. I loved this story when I read it. I was kind of new to comics. I was reading it as part of Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run. It was one of the first big runs that I binged, like his Green Lantern run and Invincible. And man, this book, I really recommend Titans of Tomorrow. It's a lot of fun. It was also my introduction to the Legion of Superheroes, was the arc right before that, both in the same trade.
And the way we get introduced to Tim Drake Batman, to this evil future Batman, as many Dark Future Batmans are, he's using a gun.
Which isn't in the initial Titans of Tomorrow storyline, but they came back in that. No, it's not.
Those pages I sent you, that's from the initial one.
What? I flipped through the tree and I couldn't find it. Okay, I stand corrected.
Yeah,
live,
so that's from the initial one.
Okay, so yes, this Batman has a gun, and in Detective Comics, also to remind you, he has a gun. So basically, I have no excuse. I should have known better.
Sorry,
I love the storyline, and I should have known this Batman was the Batman of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that means Mr. Oz has 3
Tim Drakes.
Tim Drake.
Which really just raises the question:
you collecting them?
Yeah, why Tim Drake? Why the Batman obsession?
There's Mr. Oz does seem to be on a quest to understand humanity.
Yeah.
Right? To a certain extent, even though in Action Comics he seems to have already made an indictment. He's investigating them a lot, and so he asks Tim a lot of questions about why are you Robin? Tell me about Batman, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And Tim sort of explains. We get sort of a flashback to Lonely Place of Dying. And that's sort of mostly for, I assume, for people who haven't read it, to show you how Tim Drake's origin story went, which was he was just a kid who was there when Dick Grayson's parents died in the circus. after Jason died, he put together that Dick Grayson was Robin and that Jason had died and that
that Dick Grayson is Nightwing.
Yeah, and he decided Bruce Wayne needed a Robin, that Batman needed Robin or else he was going to be too brutal. He went to Dick Grayson and was like, go help him. And Dick was like, I can only do that as Nightwing. And so Tim was like, fine, I'll be Robin. And he becomes Robin. So we get a nice little recap of that because Mr. Oz basically wants to hear the whole story. And it's not clear why.
Yeah, because that's the thing. At two Tims, it was like, all right, maybe it's a coincidence. Now it's like it's specifically Tim's, which is
Tim's.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and I do have a lot of questions about what timeline this Jor-El is from.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna explore some more because I'm sure we're still not done exploring what's going on with him, because how many time travelers are there in DC? Like,
exactly.
There's how many time travelers are there written by
Mr. Oz is going to end up being the Wave Rider version of Booster Gold from Convergence.
Booster Gold's going to come back and take Superman back in time. Something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. So Detective Comics ends with Tim Drake finding another captive of Mr. Oz that we saw a long time ago in Jeff Johns' Superman, which is Doomsday. Yeah. Has Doomsday in a vault.
Breaking through a wall as Doomsday does, like the Kool-Aid Man.
It's like his favorite thing to do. If Doomsday were in the Marvel Universe, he would be on X Factor.
Yeah, he would be like Juggernaut, just running through walls and being unstoppable.
Or just the original 5 X-Men. They just love busting through walls. It's their thing. It's their thing. So yeah, that's the Mr. Oz thing. As the more on this story as it develops, of course. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be so cool, and it's just kind of cool.
At least it's not Ozymandias.
At least it's not Ozymandias, but it's basically Ozymandias. It's Dr. Manhattan, so it's like part of something else.
So, super briefly, I want to talk about JLA this week. Not much important happened, but what did happen was they, and by they I mean, so we had a flashback. Where's Ray Palmer? That's what the storyline has been about. It's been about, there's been these things called quantum storms in the microverse, which have been like these storms that have been eliminating like these entire planets, these entire civilizations. And there's been blue, because blue's been a theme the whole time. And what we find out here is they find the point of existence, and much like Final Crisis, they find the point where everything starts, and there's a bullet wound. There's a bullet hole in it, which means someone shot through the center of existence, and they're bathed in a blue light as they see this result. It's like Ray Palmer looking at this saying, this is a bullet wound. This was on purpose. And he's being bathed in blue light.
So that also was probably a Dr. Manhattan connection.
Yeah. So when
that
the bullet
hole
thing, the comedian
that's not an accident, though. That's definitely a reference to Final Crisis. And Steve Orlando has shown his fandom of Grant Morrison in his writing before.
Yeah, that dude just likes everyone. He's like, who do I want to use this week? Extraño, boom. Buona Beast, boom. Batgirl Beyond, boom.
Yeah, no, Steve Orlando's doing great things. Really good. It's so much fun. So that's kind of all I had really to talk about this week.
And honestly, I feel like anything else would just kind of like, it'd be fun, but I'm kind of almost happy leaving it here just because like it's a consistent jam about one topic, tying it all in.
We talked about Legacy, we talked about Metal, and we talked about Oz. And so I think we're going to leave it at that. We'll talk about other things when Erin is back with us. Well, I will not be with you guys next week.
Yeah, me and Erin, possibly James.
You'll be there, Erin will be there, and then after that, I got more steady plans. So we'll be around. The show's format is still in beta. You've probably been able to tell that we've sort of changed what's going on. Right now, you're about to see kind of an awkward exit. But that's okay because this is what we have to do with our hardware. We will get something more streamlined, we promise. We appreciate you guys sticking around for the show. Pay attention. Soon we'll be doing a bit of a giveaway. So do that. Tell your friends. Of course, follow on the Shoot the Breeze Twitter, Shoot the Breeze Comics Facebook, and of course at shootthebreezecomics.com for more information, as well as lots of great content, reviews, and more.
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, guys. Goodbye.
Until next time, I'm Reed Strong, and don't call me that. I don't like being called that.